everybody, I'm Craig.
And I'm Brittany, and we've got Diana here, and we're going to be doing the video today that's a follow-up video from that bicep tendonitis video that we talked about. If you haven't seen it, make sure to check it out first. This video you're going to be following along with. All you need at home is a foam roller.
But first, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel at IPT Miami, and don't forget to hit that bell in that upper corner to make sure that you receive notifications when we post new videos.
Alright, so we've got Diana here laying out in the foam roller, and this is one of those things that we can incorporate into our routine if you've been sitting at your desk for long periods of time, if you have a long commute from work, anything where we're just trying to counteract some postural abnormalities that might be kind of rounded forward or uncomfortable if you're having pain in the shoulders, things like that. This series is going to be something that you can use to incorporate into your daily routine.
And this first exercise is very, very simple. It's lying on the foam roller. Let gravity do what it needs to do. So as the roller lies out here on the floor and you're lying on the foam roller, Diana has her head supported all the way down her spine and her tailbone is supported. Her feet are parallel to her hips and her shoulders are relaxed. And all we're going to do here is for 10 to 15 minutes is allow gravity to pull the body down into the foam roller. You might notice that in the beginning, your spine might be arched a little bit in places, and over the first 2 to 3 to 4 minutes, those spaces will decrease because gravity is working.
And that foam roller should be pretty centered down through your back, so it'll be lined up just along your spine. Make sure that nothing's hanging off over the ends, so her tailbone is supported, her head is supported. If you're too high or too low on the foam roller, you'll have like your neck hanging off the edge or your tailbone will be off the edge. Make sure that you're as centered as you can be. I've had really tall people on this, and I promise that it's long enough to fit on there. You just have to maneuver up and down until you find that sweet spot.
That's right. This is the best exercise to do at the end of a long day. You're relaxing. I do highly recommend that you do it in a quiet space, soft music, allow your body to decompress.
Okay, and then after you feel like you've gotten your max benefit out of that, right now you'll notice Diana's hands are kind of just hanging out by her side. Now I'm going to ask her to flip the palms up, and then nice and slow, Diana, go ahead and start to take your hands. We'll move out of your way a little bit there. Start to take your hands, keep them in contact with the floor if you can, and slide them up just until you feel like you're getting a stretch through the front of your chest.
And as we do this, we're looking to see if the rib cage is elevating. We want to keep the spine as in contact with the foam roller as much as possible. So if Diana goes too far up with the arms and the rib cage elevates, that's too far. Right now we want to find that sweet spot where the rib cage is relaxed into the foam roller without having to forcefully pull it down.
Perfect, and you'll see she kind of stopped right there. So Diana, you feeling a stretch there?
Yeah.
Okay, and some people are going to be able to go higher up. You might not be able to go as high. You got to find your sweet spot. When you start to feel that stretch, you're in the right spot, you're stretching. If you have shoulder pain, maybe you watched that bicep tendinopathy video earlier and you're trying to get rid of some of that pain, this might be a little bit too high of a position for the arms because it might put stress on the front of the shoulder. So you just have to play around, maybe lower the arms a little bit, find whatever feels good where you're getting the stretch without increasing any pain in the shoulder.
And if you are still in that acute bicep tendon pain or any thoracic discomfort, you can place pillows under your arms to elevate them a little bit. The thickness of this roller is 6 inches, so that means you've got 6 inches of negative space for your arm to stretch into. If that's too much, put a pillow there. No pain, no gain has zero applicability in rehabilitation.
Yeah, and I'll show you guys just the pillow that I'm kneeling on here. If that were the case, I would just take the arm and prop it up on there. So now she's got a little bit more height, so the arm is being stretched down to the floor quite as intensely. Okay, and again, this one you can do for about a 2 to 3 minute stretch. If you notice that you stop feeling the stretch, maybe those muscles lengthen a little bit, you can always add some range, get the arms up higher, but spend that 2 to 3 minutes and really get the full stretch through the front of the chest.
Another thing that you can do in this position, if you become used to it over a period of time, is what we call telescoping. In this case, what we would do is reach the fingers out to the sides, lengthening the arms, and you'll feel an additional stretch. The telescope can be held for a minute or 2 or 3 minutes until it starts to let go again, and then you just soften into it once again.
Okay, and then we're gonna start to work a little bit on the lats. So that's a big muscle that comes right through the back and kind of goes through from the shoulder down through the spine. So I'm gonna have Diana go ahead, take your hands up in front of you, put the elbows together. Good, and then you're gonna keep your hands in that what we call prayer pose. Again, making sure that that low back stays in contact with the mat, ribs aren't flared out, so they're staying nice down in line with her body. And now you're gonna reach the arms overhead, keeping those elbows together, and go to where you can. You're gonna get restricted pretty early on. Make sure those elbows don't come apart, so fight to keep those elbows closed. Good, hold it about 5 seconds there, and we're gonna go through 10 repetitions of that, so then go ahead and slowly come back. Good, and every time you're reaching those arms, you'll notice that the temptation is gonna be for those elbows to separate. Super important that you keep those elbows together here again, as long as there's no pain in the shoulder and that bicep area while you're doing it.
And notice that Diana's doing a fantastic job by only going up as far as her rib cage does not lift off the roller.
Good, and you can incorporate some breath into it too, so make sure that you're not holding your breath, especially when you start to get kind of closed, when those arms get stiff. A lot of times we tend to wanna, while we're pushing, get more of a stretch, but make sure to try and get a nice big inhale and exhale while you're flowing through the movement.
We don't have to achieve full range of motion on our first or even our second repetition. We're going through 10 repetitions here so that we can increase incrementally, little bit over time until we become accommodated to that full range of motion that becomes available to us.
All right, and we're doing all of this just before we start getting into anything that's strengthening or anything posture related, just because we want to open up and create as much space throughout the thoracic spine and the shoulders, so when we do incorporate strength, now we have room to move the muscles in the right way. Okay.
Excellent.
Then we'll get into some snow angels. So go ahead, Diana, put your hands palms facing up. Okay, this is very similar to that pec stretch that we started with earlier, but now we've already got that opened up space, so we're gonna incorporate some movement. So all my Floridians, you can do some sand angels. Anybody up north, you got the snow angels. You're gonna keep your hands in contact with the mat or the floor, and then just nice and slow bring them up. Again, stopping if there's ever a point where you have pain. And awesome, Diana, she's got that rib cage down. And can you show them what a rib flare up would look like here? Good, so she's lifting up the chest. That's the kind of thing that we want to avoid. So go ahead and tuck back down. Awesome, and she's able to keep her hands in contact with the floor all the way till she gets to the top. Some of you might not be able to do that, totally fine, go to where you can.
Another thing that we can do while we're on the roller and we're going through these different ranges of motion is we can think about how the spine becomes elongated. So imagine two rafts, one that's at the top of the head and one that's at the tailbone, pulling the spine longer as we go through these ranges of motion. And that's a very gentle pull that'll happen throughout the spine as Diana goes through these ranges.
And there's a lot of things that we're thinking about. Even though this movement seems very simple, we're making sure that those shoulders aren't coming up towards the ears, so the shoulders are staying down away from the spine. Again, we're focusing on that breathing here, nice even breath. If you were to do this and the shoulders are up towards here, now you're kind of just getting that shoulder blade to move against that alignment that we're looking to re-educate. So make sure that the shoulders stay down while the arms come up. Beautiful, and you're thinking about those shoulder blades moving along your body as you lift the arms up. So there's more to it than just the arms coming up overhead.
Now Diana's an athlete. She's making this look extraordinarily easy. Some of us will be in an up chin position like this. Our spine will be a little bit more arched. So this is what we're aiming for as a good mover, a good solid accessible mover. If we can't do it exactly like Diana here, that's okay. We've got room to improve, all of us do. So as your spine gets a little longer, try keep your chin a little bit more tucked. Try keep the back of the head and neck a little bit longer. Like I said, try create length throughout your spine during this process.
Okay, good job. Let's get one more of those here. Okay, just going to where she can. Beautiful. She's already created a lot of space. She's able to get those arms over her head, staying in contact with the floor. Okay, and then we're going to work on the extension of the thoracic spine, so that mid-back area. In order to do that, I'm actually going to have you sit up for a second. We're going to flip that foam roller. So right now it's been lengthwise down her spine. Now we're going to take it, make it horizontal. Okay.
Excellent.
Perfect there. If you can tolerate putting your hands behind your head, I'm going to have you do that. Girls, if you have hair, make sure that you hold your hair up, because I can't tell you how many times I've lost my hair and tucked underneath Craig. I'm sure that happens to you all the time.
Happens to me all the time.
That's why he cut it all off. It kept getting caught. It was a whole
exactly.
So from here now, you can't be in the wrong spot if you're from where that rib cage ends in the back to where the top of the shoulders is. That whole area is your thoracic spine. So Diana right now, she's about in the middle of her thoracic spine. She's got her knees bent. She's gonna use her feet to help support her body. Go ahead and lift your hips up. Good, and then you can roll along that whole area. As you get here, see if you can even open up the shoulders or the elbows a little bit. Good, so that not only are we getting that extension through the mid-back, but we're also getting an opening through the chest.
Remember to breathe. Breathing's very important here, especially in this thoracic spine. It gets very tender if you hit a spot that might be restricted. When you hit those spots, please breathe all the way through. Give yourself permission to let go and release.
Awesome. So as we're going through this, she's flowing down that whole length of the thoracic spine. That looks beautiful towards the top. Open up those elbows. You can spend about 2 to 3 minutes doing this. And then let's say you get to a spot that maybe feels that stuck, tender, kind of sore feeling. Let's say it's right here. So I'm going to have Diana stop there. You can let your hips drop down if you need. And then you're just going to mobilize right in that area. So go ahead and give me 10 repetitions where you just kind of lean over the back. Good. Elbows are opening up. Perfect, and then come back in. So I would use your breath here. I would inhale on the way back. You're opening up the chest. Exhale as you come back forward.
And again, notice Diana is an expert in this work. Her chin is staying tucked. She's opening through the chest. She's staying nice and slow through the motion to increase it. Now again, take a look at the rib cage. If that rib cage is flaring up too much, you're going too far. It's not about how far you can go. It's really about the quality of movement that you're trying to achieve.
And Craig, what if this position is a little painful for the shoulders and getting behind the head is a hard thing to do?
Well, what we can do is we can change the position of the shoulders. We can keep them tucked in a little bit so that they don't flare outward. We can definitely keep them tucked in. That'll also start to mobilize some of that lat muscle that we talked about earlier. Makes the movement a little bit more protective in nature. I like the hands behind the head so that the head doesn't hang back and the neck muscles have to be used throughout the motion. But let's say you are in an acute position where you can't bring your arm up there. Have one hand, that unaffected hand, while the other one comes across the rib cage, and then you can still have that same support moving in that same position.
And that looks awesome. And after you finish mobilizing that 10 repetitions in that one spot that was feeling stuck, if it starts to feel a little bit better, 10 is a very arbitrary number. If you need 15, go for 15. But once you feel like you get a little bit more movement in that spot, then I would go back and I would go through the whole length of the spine again and kind of work the whole top of the shoulders to that bottom of the rib cage.
So what Brittany's saying, find the spots that are hot, hard, tender, find the ones that are stuck, find the ones that are not moving well, and then work those.
Awesome, so take it all the way up to the shoulders there. Good, so now we just got what we call extension, which is that backward movement or kind of this direction of movement. Or the last thing we're going to incorporate is rotation for the thoracic spine. So go ahead, and there's no graceful way to get on or off your foam roller, so you just kind of got to plop around.
Right, come off as slow as you can though.
And then we're going to flip it back to lengthwise. Let's get the foam roller on that side of you.
Yep.
Okay, and you're going to start laying on whichever side you'd like. The foam roller is what you're going to use to help lock out your lumbar spine, so the low back, so that while we're doing this, we're only getting movement from that thoracic spine.
Okay.
Okay, so from here, I'll give you my pillow. There we go. So let's get that right under your head. Just so that you'll notice with the pillow now, her neck and body are in a better alignment, so she's not having to go like this with her neck or anything funky. We're going to do what's called a book opener. So go ahead, bring your arm straight in front of you there. Awesome. And then as you turn, you're going to be bringing the arm up and away, rotating this way, but also driving your knee towards the opposite direction. So you're getting that full rotation. Diana did it perfectly. Her head is following her hand. Good. And then as she comes back to close the hand to bring them together, head continues to follow the hand as she's getting that rotation. Perfect. And we'll do about 10 of those on both sides.
Excellent. Rotation oftentimes comes from the opposite arm. So while we're doing these book openers, Diana, I would like you to reach the right arm further away from you that way. Left arm will come back. That'll promote some additional rotation. Diana's left knee is pushing forward as the right arm reaches this way. Her opposite arm is reaching away from her, and she's creating space fingertip to fingertip, telescoping the arms.
And I know sometimes I get little pops and cracks in my back when I do that. Is that okay?
Totally fine. Remember, you're going to have noises in your body. Pops, cracks, snaps. As long as they are not painful, we're good. No pain, no gain does not have a place in rehabilitation. Or anywhere else for that matter.
Good, so let's flow through 3 more on this side, and then we'll go ahead and flip it over to the other side. Again, making sure that that breathing comes back to normal. Inhaling, exhaling, not holding your breath as you go through the movement. And only go as far as your head can follow your hand. So let's say with this last rep here, Diana, go ahead and stop halfway as if you were restricted in that movement. You can only go here, and then after that, your hand would go, but your head wouldn't be able to follow. So keep your head here and keep putting the hand down. Once you're not able to get that movement together, that's where I want you to stop. So I would have Diana stop here if she wasn't able to get that head to rotate with the movement. As you flow through some of these, you might loosen up, you might be able to get a little bit further with each repetition, but to start out, just go as far as your head can follow.
That's right.
Okay?
Go the other way.
So same thing from this side. Now you can probably see the spine alignment a little bit better, so you're able to see with that pillow underneath the head that the spine stays nice and neutral. This foam roller underneath the knee also kind of helps to make sure that there's not too much twisting. You can use a pillow if you don't have a foam roller at home, but the rest of the routine already had a foam roller, so I would get one anyways.
If you followed our videos, you'll know that we talk about systems, right? Our body works together, not as individual pieces and parts, and that's what Brittany's talking about when we have the head only goes as far as the arm can go. So when your eyeballs follow that hand across, if the head can't move in coordination with the shoulder, that's where we're going to stop that motion, because the whole system needs to work together to create that motion. If we have too much arm motion and not enough accessory motion on the other parts of the body, that could lead to things like the biceps tendonitis, which is the reason why we're doing some of these exercises in the beginning.
And the thoracic spine is in the middle of cervical and lumbar. So your neck, your back, and then you've got this big section in the middle. If you're doing this, and maybe you have also some neck pain that we haven't talked about yet, you know, you're looking for the bicep pain, but this bothers your neck with the rotation, the thoracic spine, that mid back and the neck work so much together that you need to have this rotation in order to have that neck mobility. So to talk or isolate just the neck or just the shoulder is pretty impossible.
Right.
And that's why I want to try again to incorporate everything into one. So we want to follow the body's free movement first, move in that available range, and eventually as you get that rotation here, you'll notice that you get more rotation in the neck as you do it.
Right. Let's just do one more. Excellent. That was impressive.
All right, so go ahead, follow along with that video. I know the first part we talked about laying on the foam roller for a pretty long period of time. If that's not realistic, because that's more at the end of the day, make sure you at least incorporate that little movement series into your work routine. If you can do it every 1 to 2 hours, that's ideal, but if you can't, just make sure to get up and move.
The goal is to get out of your chair every 45 minutes to an hour and do some sort of movement and mobility throughout your day.
The more you move, the better you feel, the stiffer or the less stiffness you'll have.
Well, that's great. Thanks guys for watching this video. We appreciate you. Please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to click the bell in the corner to make sure you get the notifications when new videos are released. Hey everybody, I'm Craig.
And I'm Brittany, and we've got Diana helping us out here with a thoracic extension and, sorry.
Hey everybody, I'm Craig.
And I'm Brittany, and this is Diana. Today we're going to be going through a series with you that you can follow along with for if you've been sitting at your desk for a long time, and it just kind of works on posture and the scapula, which we talked about in some other videos. I don't know what I'm actually saying, sorry. Oh.
Holy crap, I'm never gonna get up again. Jesus Christ.